talk of doomsday. Funny it seems the ways of these days. Scars cover me, start to need the pain.
Everybody, and welcome to the Knitting Game and Other Stuff. I'm Lesley, your host, and I am known as Pixie Knits almost everywhere. For those of you who are keeping track, this is episode 50, and it's kind of a big one. I realized last week after I recorded that I'm getting to 50. There's 52 weeks in a year. I record about once a week. Well, that should take me to about a year, and I looked, and sure enough, on January 25th last year was when I did the first knitting game. So this is kind of like my anniversary podcast. So lots of fun and excitement for this show. So it kind of snuck up on me, so this is going to be a retrospective. It's nice to see how things have changed over the last year. So let's get started. First of all, if you want to get the show notes, which has the links to the vendors, projects, patterns, and all sorts of goodies, check out myordinaryjourney.com. It's all one word, and that is my blog. So there's other stuff there too, not just the knitting game. I do my shower thoughts in the morning, which sometimes have turned out to be quite hilarious. I know a few folks that like to read those every morning. And just general info for the show and for me, and just all sorts of goodies. So there's also in the show notes a link to our Ravelry group. So not too long ago we hit 150 members, and we're still growing. Great. So for a year worth of being around, the group has hit 158 members was the count as of this afternoon when I pulled the member list for the show today. So let's get started, and I want to say welcome, not just to new folks, but to everybody. Thank you for joining me again this week. So welcome to the new folks to our Ravelry group, and that is Scarlet Pearls, Stacy, Lubai01, that's Helen, A1 Dawn, and that's Ashley. So welcome everybody. And we do have 3 birthdays this week. We have Student7, that's Claire. She has a podcast too. And Pat B Knitting, that's Pat. And Lollipop Yarn, Joan. You all might know her. She kind of does this dyeing thing and makes like this really cool looking yarn. You might have seen it on the show a couple of times. So Joan, happy birthday. All right, so some shout outs and announcements. We had to cancel the Fredericksburg Sit-In-It last week because the weather, it's been crazy. You know, everybody that had that weather yesterday in the Midwest, down in Texas maybe this morning, yeah, we're getting it like now. The leading edge is coming in, so hopefully I can get this recorded and uploaded before all craziness happens. So last week we canceled the sit and knit, and we do it every other week, so there won't be one this week, but next week, if the weather permits. Okay, so some thank yous. I have a special thank you to give this week. Angela, Beagle Mom Knitter, she gifted me the Sierra sweater. And that pattern was for the Potiversary, so thank you, Beagle Mom Knitter. She's also my roommate at Knitpocalypse. So, and I'd like to thank Stitches Please, that's Courtney from the Fearless Knitter podcast. I was having a bad day, and she made me smile. And she also gifted me the Fruit Loop Gang. Now that was so sweet. So it still makes me smile. All right, everybody. So I'm fairly certain most everybody has received their Armed Forces Fiber Fanatics Charity Sock Yarn Club January shipment. There may be one of two out there that hasn't. I have one international customer, so I don't know how long it takes for them to get their yarn, and I had to do it regular post. So if you don't want to see this, because this is a spoiler, I'm going to warn you now. Give me a few minutes and then come back. But I'm going to show everybody the yarn. Alright, so for those of you who don't know, a little backstory on this. Back in July, I knit one of my knitting game patterns. And the only person to comment was a friend of mine who was in the Marines. And he is a Marine, and yes, it is a he. And he commented on this shawl, and I thought, how nice would it be to knit him a pair of socks? And then I thought, and this is in the shower, so my shower thoughts, right? So I thought, how nice to knit him a pair of socks. And not just any pair of socks. Ooh, I should do red and yellow stripes, like the Marine Corps colors. And I thought, oh my gosh, why limit it to the Marine Corps? I should contact some really great dyer people and see if I can get some of these dyers to help me out. And what I'll do is I'll have a dyer dye these colorways up inspired by the armed forces, and the proceeds from the sale of the yarn can go to various charities, and the two that I picked was the Wounded Warrior Project and the USO. So that was in July, and it took, I wanted to work with the dyers and make sure that they had time to do things and that they felt comfortable with how everything was set up. So I worked with 5 dyers and a bag maker, and we launched the AF3 Charity Sock Yarn Club in November, and it was a lottery, and there were 29 slots, and there was an amazing response, and I felt very blessed that I could not believe how well it was received. So January's shipment went out last weekend, and I want to show you guys the yarn, because let me tell you, I was just, of course I saw it first and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to share because I love it like so much. So I was in the Army. I was in the Army for almost 8 years, 7 years, 6 months, 5 days. Yes. Not that I counted or anything. It says it on my DD-214. That's the only reason why I know. So anyway, again, spoiler. If you don't want to see, turn away. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present you with the January colorway. This is Hooah by Lollipop Yarn. So we have 6 rows of black, 6 rows of khaki, 6 rows of dark olive, and 6 rows of faded green. Now, Miss Sillyfru got a patch of Digicami, and she overlaid the yarn on the Digicami, and oh my gosh, it was so spot on. And this yarn is provided by Lollipop Yarns. Thank you very much, Joan. I really appreciate it. So, and this is self-striping, and I was thinking some folks were like, well, I don't knit socks, what should I do? So what I did is each month I'm going to have a thread on the Knitting Game forums on Ravelry, and folks can talk about different patterns that they want to do, different ways to utilize the yarn. They can talk about the yarn, they can share their finished projects, and it'll be so awesome. So I was originally thinking socks for these, but somebody had mentioned gloves. And I'm thinking maybe I might do gloves. And I think the fingers would be really neat because they would be all different colors. I don't know. It's a lot of yarn. It's 420 yards, so it's definitely a pair, a decent, good sized pair of socks. I think for yarn, this is really good guy colors. If guys aren't into the pink and blue and whatever, purple, most of the time. So if you got a guy in your life that wants some striped socks, this would be a really good colorway. So I also have a bag maker that wanted to help out, and the bag maker is Anders Mill. So the folks that wanted to, it costs a little bit extra, but the proceeds again go to the Wounded Warrior Project in USO. So this month Anders Mill did the large box bag, and isn't that amazing? It is the okay, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but camouflage being cute. How awesome is this pink digi-cami? This is great stuff. So this is a nice large, you've got the strap here, box bag. Nicely, it's interfaced, so it's got a little structure to it, and it's really good stuff. So I'm getting the bag too. So if you got just the yarn, this is what you got, and if you got the yarn and the bag set, this is what you got. And I am just tickled pink. Now next month's dyer is Fiber Nymph, and she has the Marine Corps colorway. And if anybody knows Lisa, her son is in the Corps. So we are in for a treat. I'm just saying. I've had a sneak peek already. I'm so happy. So that was the Sock Club update. Everything's going swimmingly, and I'm just so tickled. So, and in case you don't know, the club is full right now. All slots are filled, but the dyers that we had for this go around were Lollipop Yarn, Fiber Nymph Dye Works, then Inked Knits, then Diabolical, and then finally another Crafty Girl. And I'm releasing the colorways by the service's birthday. So it's going to be the Army, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, and then the final colorway is going to be the red, white, and blue. So not red, white, and blue, the Star Spangled Banner. And the dyers, it is completely up to them how they want to interpret their inspiration for the club. So Joan did an amazing job. I am just so thrilled. Alrighty, so I want to go on to really quick the segment I've been doing the last few weeks. It is called the Android App of the Week. I have an Android tablet. This is my Asus Transformer Infinity Pad, and I also have a Galaxy S2, which is also an Android phone. So I wanted to give a little Android love to the knitters out there that use Android. So this week the app I picked was Quick Office. And Quick Office is, hold on one second, I have a special guest. everyone. This is my boy OJ. He is a big fatty, but he's a snuggly. And no, you can't have that stuff. Hey, I don't know how you got in here. If you guys could give me 1 second, I will be right back. I need to go and let him out so he can do his business and eat. I don't know what he needs to do. Maybe he just wants to hang out. I don't know. All right, I have to put you down. Can I put you down? Oh, he's so happy. I'm gonna put you down. I won't put you out. I'll just sit you down. Anyway, so the app of the week is the Quick Office Pro HD, and that is for the tablet. And it is your kind of like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but for your tablet. And this is it right here. This is what I use to do my show notes on. So I pull them up, and it's the program I use to keep my show notes. Now it's available for Google, and it's available on Amazon. The Google version for some reason is $19.99. It's kind of ridiculous. The Amazon version, however, is $9.99. It is a paid program. They do have like a free kind of trial version type, like stripped down version. But it's really great. I also use it in the grocery store. My husband and I, we do our shopping lists, and we put them in Dropbox, and we pull them up on our phones when we're in the grocery store, and that's what we use for our grocery lists to make sure we're getting what we need. Anyway, okay, so now that that is like half the show, I want to get on to the knitting game because I have something special. I'm going to do a retrospective. I'm going to go back and reintroduce you to some of the patterns, prior winners of the knitting game, if you will, and tell you how they did, and real quick if they're finished or not, or just the stats, and let you know how things went. Alright, so the first ever knitting game winner was the lattice rib hat. And that one was out of the Classic Elite Quick Knits book. And I finished that one. It went pretty fast. It was my first time really attempting cable work, so I had the cables in there. And I used my hand spun yarn, which was also hand carded. I did it on my drum carder. So it was a lot of firsts for me on that one, and it went pretty fast. The next winner was the Sayuri sweater from the Sensual Knits. And that one I got going pretty well on, and I was working on it through April and May fairly steadily, and it seemed like as soon as I got my signature needles and put that sweater on my signature needles, that's when I kind of stopped working on it. I kind of ran out of steam on that one, and I decided that it was because I knew it was too big. My gauge was off. So last week I ripped it out, I frogged it, I went all the way back to the beginning. I had like 4 skeins of yarn that I had used out of 9, so I only had 5 left, and I'd only gotten the back and front like half boob part done, and I had the right front left to do, and then I had to go in the round and knit down. I didn't think I'd have enough yarn. Problem solved. I went ahead and I frogged it, and I cast it on again. Alright, so the next knit was the Stalagmite sock, and that was by Cookie A, and that was in the Knit Sock Love book. And I worked on that sock, and I took it with me on vacation, and I worked on it on the plane, and there was just cables all over the place, and I decided it was just too much. I didn't like it. I frogged it. I might actually come back to it now, and I'll tell you why. Two things. A, I would use a little bit of a larger needle, and I would knit a smaller size sock, so less stitches but on a larger needle. Second, what I would do is, now that I'm cabling without a needle, I think the pattern would go faster. Before it was really kind of cumbersome and the cables were really tight and everything. So the next one was the petal shawlette. And I really need to let him out because he's very distracting. I will be right back. Okay, he's out. So the next project was the petal shawlette, and that was in one of my One Skein Wonders books. It was done in my hand spun. It was from Wool Gatherings, and it was a merino silk blend. And then I did the edging with Louise Harding's Grace and Wool, which is a wool silk blend, and it just turned out beautiful. And I think I knit that one in 2 weeks, maybe, tops. I mean, I really flew through that one. Then the next knitting game for a knit was the Easy 100th Anniversary Camping Half Circle Shawl. And that one is still in progress. I'm not using hand spun, but I am using hand dyed. I did the dyeing on the yarn myself. So hopefully that'll be done in the next few weeks and I can show you all that one. Then the glass hoot hat, which is in the book Weekend Hats. That one is finished, and again, I use my hand spun yarn. I seem to have a really great track record when I'm using my own hand spun. So all the projects that I finished were out of my hand spun. So, and last but not least, the last winner was the exotic draped ruffle. And this one, I'm still searching for yarn, so that's where we are with that. All right, so that was just a quick little retrospective of what's happened over the last year as far as the knitting game. A year in review, it's been quite a year. Not only did I start the podcast, but I also started making my own project bags, and that kind of transitioned and got into me selling my project bags on Etsy. I designed a pattern that's selling on Ravelry, so I'm a designer, sorta. So a lot of stuff happened, and it was funny when I started the podcast. I'd only been knitting for a year, and I'd only been spinning for a few months with a drop. Well, since September with a drop spindle and my homemade spindle wheel out of PVC pipe, and then I finally got my regular wheel at Christmas, and I'd only been spinning on that like a month when I started the show. So I've come, I think personally, growth wise in the last year, it's been pretty remarkable. I've met a ton of awesome people at different events and online, my Plurk buddies. So I'm looking forward to a new year of new experiences. I've got Maryland Sheep and Wool, and that's going to be a sleepaway camp for me this year, and I'm going to be sharing a room with a few other ladies from the Virginia area. And then I'm going to Zombie Knit Apocalypse in June, so that's Mommy's Summer Camp. I'm doing that this year, so that's really awesome. So I've got some new experiences I'm going to be able to share with everybody this year. So the best is yet to come, and yay! So on to the regular knitting game. We're wrapping up week 5, going into week 6. So the 2 patterns that got the fewest votes this week, and we are doing it American Idol style, so the lowest 2 votes are going to be the ones I choose from to send home. This week it was the Euphrosine and the striped study shawl were the two that placed it in the bottom. And I think the next one to leave the knitting game is going to be the striped study shawl. And the reason that is because it's very reminiscent of the Color Affection, same designer, and it's kind of like the same aesthetic. I don't know, it's garter stitch, it's back and forth. It's not the same aesthetic, it's a different shape, and it's nice and off center, off the axis, which gives it a little bit of a visual oomph. But the U for sign is something I haven't knit before. I haven't even come close, so I want to give that one a shot. So for week 6, these are the patterns you all have to choose from. The For Good hat, the Vittorio, the U for sign, and the Water Street cardigan. So that's all we have. So we have 4 patterns left in week 6. So we are coming along. Before long, I'm going to have a very organized queue with my gifted patterns. So that's great. Remember, you can vote as often as you like for as many patterns as you want. Just like American Idol, just so you think you can dance, that kind of mechanic. Do what you gotta do. If you want to see it knit, do what you gotta do. Alright, so updates. I told you that the 100th anniversary camping shawl is still being worked on, but it's resting. I haven't worked on it since Christmas. I've been otherwise engaged. The Central Knits knitting game, the Sayuri sweater. Like I said, I did recast that on. I went down to a US 7, and I think it calls for either an 8 or a 9. That's how off my gauge was. And I've gotten a few rows done here, and it's just the basic stockinette. I do like 15 rows of stockinette first. But it's really, my stitches are kind of uneven in spots. And that's because I was playing around with a new knitting technique, how I'm sort of not throwing the yarn anymore. I'm kind of doing a pick, but it's almost a cross between a pick and a flick and a throw. It's all 3 at one time. I don't know how to explain it. So I might actually rip this back again and try to get it a little bit more consistent on the stitch length, the tension. I am using, though, my ChowGoo red lace circular interchangeable needles, and I will tell you something. I have a feeling that this project is going to go a lot faster now that I have these needles, specifically because of the cable. A lot of the problems I had the last time I tried to knit the sweater was because the cable would pucker up in between the stitches as I was trying to slide them on, because it gets very wide. And as I was trying to slide them from the left needle onto the right, my cable down towards the middle would start to pucker and come through the stitches. And I have a feeling because this cable is different. It's not as, it doesn't kink, and it's stiff. And I think that's going to keep it from doing that, which is awesome. And these stitches just slide right up that join, not a problem at all. It's beautiful. It's like butter. It's great. So, yay, something to report on the Sayuri sweater. Believe it or not, I did not forget it. And like I said before, the exotic drape ruffle, the yarn is an issue. So I'm working on trying to find that. All right, so on to the other stuff. I'm going to try to get through this a little bit quick because I'm running long, I know. But it's an anniversary episode. What do you expect? So first up is my Devil in a Blue Dress socks. I am using my own prototype knitting bag. It's got the handle, it's zippered, it's structured, and it has an outside zipper pocket and my little taggy tab. So this one I kind of 1950s retro, reminds me of like Sputnik, the little satellites and everything. So that's my little knitting bag. I'm almost done with the body of the sock. This is the second sock. I'm actually maybe a half a row away from binding off on this sock, and then I get to do the heels. Now, I don't have the other yarn with me. I was thinking of using something a little bit different. It's over here. For the heel of my sock. So this yarn is Cascade Paints, and I got it in Seattle on Bainbridge Island at Church Mouse Yarns and More and Tea. And it's like these bluesy kind of colors, blue and gray. And I was thinking of maybe making that the heel, just to do something a little different. It's still blues, and the sock that this is attached on is another toe-up sock, and I have plenty of yarn. So yeah, I'm kind of kicking that idea around for the heels, although I do have an absolute ton of the Devil in a Blue Dress left, so I have plenty for the heels if I want to do the heels with this yarn. So that's not the issue. Now this is Lollipop yarns. I'm knitting these on size 1.5 US. These are Knit Picks, probably size 32 circulars. So I'm very close to getting the heels started on these, and I'm sure once I get those heels started it'll go like that. So I may have some socks to show you all next week. Then my Aurora socks, I haven't played with those at all. I was in the process of trying to design something, and I honestly think I might rip that back. I'm not thrilled with how it was coming out. So Downton Abbey Mystery Knit Along, I haven't worked on it in a week and a half. I'm like 2 weeks behind on the show, and I'm also 2 weeks behind on the clues. The other thing I've been working on is Jason's first sweater. Jason is my dear husband, and I have wanted to knit him a sweater, but I can't find one out there that I really want to knit him, that really I love. So I'm going to design one for him myself. So I have my gauge swatch. I am using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the worsted weight. And I am using size 6 Chow-Gu needles. These are right now, it's just the fixed circular size 24s. But I'll use my interchangeables once I get going. And I think this is my little test swatch. So here's the ribbing and then what the body would be. So I'm getting just about 5 stitches per inch. I'm not pulling it too much. So this has been resting for a day. I might take another measurement here, but that's what I'm doing. This is in the Cobblestone Heather colorway. I bought 20 hanks of these to do a sweater for him. He's not a big guy. I will have leftovers, but that's okay. Alright, so that was my knitting this week, except I have a finished object. I did, before the horrible weather last week came about, I finished for the most part. I haven't completely woven in the ends on this right glove, but I did finish my Vancouver Fog fingerless mittens, because they don't have individual finger holes. So there we go. That is the left, and that is the right. And what I like about these is it goes over the knuckles, which is good because when I drive in the morning, my cold steering wheel. But then if I need to, like if I'm knitting or typing, I can fold that bad boy down and I have my fingers free. So I have a finished object. I don't have many of those, so I'm very happy. So you can see I didn't weave in the ends. I'm cheating, but it works. I do have some stash enhancements besides the knit picks wool, and I'm not going to show you that again. I got my German yarn. So I ordered yarn from a German-based Etsy seller. It's Piratenwoll, and I guess that it's pirate yarn. And I got just sock yarn. Now this is interesting. She doesn't have colorways. So this is number 908, and it has the most luscious, hottest pink and the coolest of cool aqua blues, and then this yellow. Now as you can see, I had to pull this apart because I wanted to look at it and I did not reskein it properly. So these are going to make some cool, funky, aren't her colors just gorgeous? So that was number 908. So that's the pink, the yellow, and the aqua. And I'm going to try to do this up a little bit better this time. So bear with me. It's not working very well. Oh, here we go. Okay. So there is that one. And then the other one that I got was number 909, oddly enough. And this one is just blue and yellow. And where they meet, there's just like the little tinge of green, little splashes of green. So awesome. It's spring. It just screams like Easter and spring to me. So I will definitely order from her again. I have to knit with the yarn obviously first to give a full review, but I am very pleased with the color. So we'll have to see how it works after it's washed and how it knits up. It's a very tight twisted sock yarn, so I don't think I'm gonna have problems with splitting. So that is good. All right, so on to spinning. I'm still making progress with my green wood fibers. This is merino, 100% merino, 4 ounce, and this is the blueberry smoothie colorway. You see that little flash of hot pink in the middle? I am in love, love, love with it. I am so in love with the hot pink right now. I can't tell you why. It just is what it is. I do have something kind of different to share with you. I have another stash enhancement because that's all I'm spinning right now. But I found a vendor, and I didn't even realize that folks are selling these online on Etsy. I haven't heard any of the other podcasters talk about buying Rolags from online. So I found some, and I thought, what the heck? I will give it a shot and see how they do. Now, they come, I bought mine from Blue Mountain Handicrafts, and you can see the different colors. And this is the smooth with texture. So for the most part, it's smooth, but she'll throw in a lock of something, and you can see the kid mohair lock right there. And these are done on a Big Kitty blending board, I believe. They remind me of like little tube worms, but this one, I don't know, screamed by me online, so I had to. So that is my roll log, and I have 2.4 ounces. There's something like 8 of them in here, and it contains merino, silk, bamboo, firestar, angeline, and nylon. So it is a oh, and the kid mohair, so the locks. So it is just a grab bag of coolness. So I'll let you know how that works out, because I think those will be neat. So I'm gonna probably give those a shot next, because I think it'll be a quick spin, and it'll be a good way, because the way the prep is prepped, it's a great way to practice your long draw, your woolen spinning instead of your worsted spinning, which is what I primarily do. So bags, and tablet sleeves. I will have, my next update is on the 8th, and I will have some new things to show you, fabrics to show you on next week's show. But a really quick project I wanted to share with you. I designed my own fabric, and Retorspective Heather of Highland Handmaids. A lot of alliteration there. She started this More Love movement, and she inspired me to share the love, and not only to share the love in English, but in many different languages. So I designed and had printed the More Love fabric. It will be on sale if you wanted to pick some of this up from, I'll have the details. It was Spoon, I'm sorry. I'm sure you all like to see the back of my head. Spoonflower.com. So this is my proof copy, so it's just a little swatch. And I might tweak it a little bit so there's more love in a square inch, if you want to say. But I've got the languages: Thai, Arabic, Chinese, classic, Korean, Japanese, English, French, German, Italian, Swedish, Norwegian, just a whole bunch, Russian. You know, I just wanted to make it fun, and it's all different rainbowy colors. So look for that to be available here pretty soon. So that was a long one, and it's 7 o'clock, and I still have to edit. I want to thank you all for sticking with me for a year. And if you're new, I hope you find these episodes educational and enjoyable. And I'm really excited about the year to come. So onward and upward, and season 2, here I come. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. I love you all. And don't forget to vote. Bye.